The eyes you look through shape the world you see. But the eyes you are drawn to, they reveal the world you carry within. Long before language, before thought, before the mind learned to name and categorize, the eyes were speaking, not with words, not with explanations, but with a recognition that exists beneath all understanding. Today, we invite you to meet your own gaze, not in a mirror, but in the reflection of what calls to you without reason. Before you are four eyes: violet, amber, emerald, and crimson. Do not search for meaning in their color. Do not analyze what they might represent. Do not choose the one you think you should choose. Instead, breathe. Let your mind settle, and simply notice which eye holds your attention. Which one feels like it is looking back at you? Which one sees you before you see it? Alan Watts once said that the biggest ego trip is getting rid of your ego. So for now, let the seeking mind rest. Let the eye choose you. Your choice is made. Now, let us reveal what it sees about the self you have been carrying all along. If the violet eye called to you, you see beyond what others call real. You do not just look, you perceive. Where others see surfaces, you see layers. Where others see endings, you see thresholds. You have never been satisfied with the explanation everyone else accepts. You have always known there is more. This is your nature. You are drawn to the unseen. To philosophy that has no conclusion. To art that resists interpretation. To conversations that spiral into mystery rather than resolve into answers. You do not want to close the question. You want to live inside it. People sense this about you. They feel that when you look at them, you are seeing something they have not yet seen in themselves. And this can be beautiful, or it can be terrifying, because not everyone is ready to be known at the level you naturally perceive. You are the one who asks why the sky is blue and does not stop at refraction. You ask why we call it blue at all, why we see, why there is something instead of nothing. And you are not asking to be clever. You are asking because you genuinely do not understand how anyone can move through life without wondering. But the violet eye carries a loneliness, because when you see what others do not, you begin to live in a reality they cannot enter. You speak and they nod, but you know they are not truly hearing. You share your deepest insights and they respond with surface pleasantries. And slowly, you learn to keep your perceptions to yourself. You begin to believe that your way of seeing is a burden, that depth is a curse, that to be understood, you must become less of who you are. And so you dim, you simplify, you translate the infinite into language that fits inside small talk. But here is the trap. In trying to be understood by those who see differently, you lose access to those who see the way you do. You hide your light so thoroughly that even those who are searching for it cannot find you. Watts would remind you that the universe does not make mistakes. If you were given eyes that see in the dark, it is not so you can apologize for seeing. It is so you can illuminate what others fear to look at. Your depth is not a flaw. It is your offering. You are not responsible for waking those who prefer to sleep. You are not required to translate the ineffable into digestible sound bites. Your only task is to remain awake, to see without needing to fix, to perceive without demanding that others perceive as you do. The violet eye teaches this. Seeing deeply is not about convincing others to see what you see. It is about trusting that those who are meant to meet you in that depth will find you there, and those who are not ready will pass by. And both are exactly as they should be. The water becomes clear when you stop stirring it. Let your vision rest. Let your knowing be enough. If you chose the violet eye, you are the witness to what most refuse to see. You do not need to dim your sight to belong. You only need to trust that the belonging you seek exists at the same depth you inhabit. Your true self is not the seeker. It is the awareness that makes seeking possible. The consciousness that watches the search without being consumed by it. And in a world that looks away, your willingness to keep your eyes open is the most sacred thing you could offer. If the amber eye called to you, you find meaning not in answers, but in awareness itself. You are the still point in a turning world. Where others chase, you pause. Where others analyze, you witness. You have learned that the mind's need to explain often obscures more than it reveals. And so you have cultivated something rare, the ability to see without judging, to observe without needing to change what you observe. This is your gift. You do not impose yourself onto reality. You allow reality to reveal itself in its own time. People feel safe in your presence because you do not require them to be anything other than what they are. You do not fix, you do not advise unless asked. You simply hold space. You understand that wisdom is not accumulated knowledge. It is presence. The ability to be fully here, fully now, without the mind's constant commentary about what should be instead of what is. You see patterns others miss because you are not distracted by your own reactions to those patterns. You notice the way light changes, the way a conversation shifts, the way energy moves through a room, and you do this without effort, because for you, observation is not a technique. It is your natural state. But the amber eye can become a hiding place. Because when you observe without participating, you can convince yourself that you are engaged when you are actually removed. You watch life happen. You witness others take risks, make mistakes, grow through their stumbling, and you remain at a distance, safe in your role as observer. You tell yourself you are being present. But presence without participation is just another form of absence. You have become so skilled at watching that you have forgotten how to be watched. So comfortable in stillness that you have forgotten how to move. Watts would ask you this: are you observing life, or are you avoiding it? Because there is a difference between the stillness that comes from inner peace and the stillness that comes from fear of disruption. Watts spoke often of the difference between the menu and the meal. You have mastered the art of reading the menu, of understanding every ingredient, every preparation method, every possible outcome. But understanding is not the same as tasting. Observing is not the same as experiencing. The amber eye has taught you to see without distortion. Now it is teaching you that seeing is not enough. At some point, the observer must step into the observed. The witness must remember that it too is part of the dance. This does not mean you lose your clarity. It means you bring that clarity into action, into relationship, into the messy, imperfect, beautiful act of being fully alive. You are learning this, that true presence is not passive. It is the awareness that can observe and participate simultaneously, that can be still and moving, that can witness the dance while dancing. If you chose the amber eye, you are learning that awareness without engagement is incomplete. You do not need to abandon your stillness to participate in life. You only need to trust that stillness is not threatened by movement. Your true self is not the observer. It is the awareness that can observe and be observed, that can witness and be witnessed, that can hold space and take space. And when you finally allow yourself to be seen as clearly as you see, you will discover that you were never separate from what you were watching. You were always part of it. If the emerald eye called to you, you see through empathy. Every emotion you read becomes a mirror of yourself. You do not just notice when someone is hurting. You feel it, not as a thought, but as a sensation that moves through your own body. You carry the rare and difficult gift of permeability, where others build walls to protect themselves from the weight of the world. You remain open. You absorb. You attune. You become the tuning fork that vibrates at the frequency of whatever pain is near you. And this is not weakness. This is a kind of courage most will never understand. You are the person others come to when they need to be held without words. When they need someone to sit with them in their darkness without trying to turn on the light. You do not offer solutions. You offer presence. And presence, true presence, is the most healing thing one human can give another. You see connection where others see separation. You feel the invisible threads that bind all living things. And because of this, you cannot help but care. Deeply, unconditionally, sometimes painfully, but the emerald eye carries a cost. Because when you feel everything, you can lose track of where others end and you begin. You take on their pain as if it were your own. You carry their burdens as if you were responsible for them. And slowly, without realizing it, you become so full of everyone else's emotions that there is no room left for your own. You convince yourself that this is love, that to care means to carry, that to heal others you must absorb their wounds. But Watts would tell you this: you cannot heal by taking on sickness. You can only heal by remaining whole while holding space for another's healing. The emerald eye has taught you to feel deeply, but it has not yet taught you boundaries. And without boundaries, empathy becomes self-erasure, compassion becomes codependence, and the healer becomes the one who needs healing most. Watts once said that muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. You have been taught that love requires action, that caring means fixing, that to be valuable, you must be useful. But what if love is not something you do? What if it is something you are? The emerald eye is teaching you this, that true healing does not come from absorbing another's pain. It comes from being so grounded in your own center that others can find their center in your presence. You do not need to carry the world to help the world. You only need to remain rooted in your own truth while allowing others to find theirs. The tree does not heal the forest by taking on the disease of other trees. It heals by remaining healthy, by continuing to grow, by offering shade without diminishing itself. This is your lesson now: to feel without losing yourself in the feeling, to care without drowning in the caring, to love without forgetting that you, too, are worthy of the love you so freely give. If you chose the emerald eye, you see the world through the lens of connection. You do not need to fix everyone to matter. You only need to remain whole enough to hold space for their unfolding. Your true self is not the healer. It is the wholeness that makes healing possible, the presence that can witness pain without becoming the pain. And when you finally learn to care for yourself with the same tenderness you offer others, you will discover that you were never meant to save anyone. You were only meant to remind them that they were never broken. If the crimson eye called to you, you were never afraid of truth even when it burns. You are the one who looks directly at what others turn away from. The shadow, the wound, the lie everyone has agreed to pretend is truth. You do not flinch, you do not soften. You meet reality with the full force of your awareness, and you do not apologize for what you see. This is your power. You cut through pretense. You name what is unnamed. You refuse to participate in collective delusion, even when that refusal costs you comfort, belonging, acceptance. You would rather stand alone in truth than surrounded by those who require you to lie. People are drawn to your intensity and terrified of it in equal measure, because you do not let them hide. Your presence demands authenticity, and authenticity is the one thing most people have spent their entire lives avoiding. You are the awakener, the disruptor, the one who lights the match, even when everyone else is begging you to let them sleep. And you do this not because you are cruel, but because you cannot bear to watch people waste their lives on illusions. But the crimson eye carries a danger, because when you see through everything, you can lose your capacity for gentleness, for patience, for allowing others to wake at their own pace. You become so focused on truth that you forget that truth without compassion is just brutality dressed in enlightenment. You burn bridges in the name of authenticity. You push away those who love you because they are not awake enough, deep enough, real enough. You stand alone on your mountain of clarity and wonder why no one joins you there, never realizing that you set the mountain on fire to prove a point. Watts would ask you this: are you speaking truth, or are you weaponizing it? Because there is a difference between waking someone up and setting their house on fire while they sleep. Watts taught that the fire does not need to consume everything to be fire. You have been given the gift of sight, the ability to see through illusion, to name what is real. But real does not always mean harsh. Truth does not always require force. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is allow others to discover their own truth in their own time. The crimson eye has shown you how to burn. Now it is teaching you how to illuminate, to bring light without scorching, to reveal without destroying, to awaken without demanding that everyone wake at the same moment you did. You are learning this, that transformation is not something you do to people. It is something you invite by being so undeniably yourself that others remember they, too, have permission to be real. The sun does not apologize for rising, but it also does not demand that everyone wake with it. It simply shines, and those who are ready open their eyes. If you chose the crimson eye, you are here to burn away what is false. You do not need to soften your truth to be loved. You only need to learn that truth is most powerful when it is offered, not forced. Your true self is not the fire. It is the light the fire creates, the clarity that remains after the burning is done. And when you finally learn to illuminate without consuming, you will discover that you never needed to destroy anything. You only needed to shine brightly enough that others could finally see themselves clearly. Eyes are not just organs of sight. They are windows, thresholds, portals into the consciousness that looks through them. Carl Jung understood that what we are drawn to reveals what we are becoming. The violet eye calling to the seeker who is ready to go deeper. The amber eye attracting the observer learning to participate. The emerald eye pulling the healer toward wholeness. The crimson eye drawing the awakener into compassion. But Alan Watts would say this: the eye you chose is not you. It is simply the current focus of your awareness, the particular lens through which you are learning to see yourself. You are not the violet seeker or the amber observer, not the emerald healer or the crimson awakener. You are the awareness that can see through any eye, the consciousness that exists before vision and remains after sight fades. The test was never about which eye you chose. It was about recognizing that you are not the eye at all. You are what looks through it. So where does this leave you? Perhaps you recognized yourself in the eye you chose. Perhaps you saw parts of yourself in all of them. Perhaps you are uncertain whether you chose correctly, or whether there even is a correct choice. All of this is exactly as it should be, because you are not here to find a fixed answer. You are here to notice, to see how you see, to become aware of the awareness itself. Today you chose one eye. Tomorrow you may be drawn to another. This does not mean you were wrong. It means you are changing. And change, as Watts would remind you, is not a problem to solve. It is the nature of existence itself. Do not make the eye your new identity. Do not use it as another label to defend. Let it show you something about where you are, and then let it go. Because the truth is, you are not the violet eye, not the amber, not the emerald, not the crimson. You are the space in which all eyes appear. The awareness that can look through any lens without being limited by what it sees. And that awareness, infinite and unchanging, is the only self you need to know. Alan Watts once said, "You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself." Today, you looked at 4 eyes and chose one. But the looking was not the point. The point was to remember that you are not the eye looking out. You are the awareness in which all looking happens. The eye revealed something about how you currently see, but it cannot define what you are, because what you are is undefinable. So see through your violet depth, your amber stillness, your emerald empathy, your crimson fire. But never forget, you are not the vision. You are the light that makes all vision possible. And that light has been shining since before the first eye opened, and will continue long after the last eye closes. If something in this reflection looked back at you, if you recognized yourself in the eye you chose, we invite you to share it in the comments below. Not to explain yourself, not to prove anything, but simply to be witnessed by others who are also learning to see themselves clearly. Each comment is a reflection. Each share is a recognition. And together, we create the space where seeing becomes being. There are more reflections waiting for you, more symbols, more invitations to remember that you are not who you think you are, but something far more vast. Stay, not because you need to, but because something in you recognizes this as home. And until we meet again, remember this: you are not the eye. You are what sees through it. And that has always been enough. See you in the next reflection.